And good Monday evening, everyone. This is the Great Lakes Divide live stream on YouTube, powered by FederalWilliams.com. That's FEDERAU Williams.com. Contact Mike Williams at FederalWilliams.com for all of your realty needs in the state of Michigan, whether you're buying or selling. I'm your host, Adam Biggers. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81, Great Lakes Divides at GL Divide, and Great Lakes Divide on Facebook. So, lots to talk about today. The Jim Harbaugh Monday press conference this week is always fun because you see a lot of media that aren't there ever. And there's a lot of the rivalry. What does this mean? Big game, trying to get a soundbite type of question. So there's a lot of that today. There were some good football questions asked, though. And as usual, I think Larry Lage asked one of the better questions of the day. So check out the Jim Harbaugh. The full press conference is on MGO Blue. I think I have that video on my YouTube. I have video of DPJ, 2 videos of DPJ, True Wilson. I wasn't able to get Josh Ross, but Nick Eubanks, and 5 minutes or so of the Jim Harbaugh press conference. So before I get into the live chat, and thanks again for everybody joining me. There's going to big week for Great Lakes Divide. This, like I was saying the other day, this site is Ryan Schuling and I decided to do this because of this rivalry, and we believe not only just Michigan and Michigan State, but both programs. So when both programs are facing each other, it's obviously a big deal. I think it's a huge deal for fans too. So this week, I want you guys to basically dictate the show. I'm going to throw in some topics. You guys basically control it anyway, but we'll get into some debate, talk about favorite moments, that type of thing. And we got a lot of podcasts, a lot of written content, a lot of stuff from both sides. So check out Ryan Schuling's Michigan State coverage. Keep checking out my Michigan coverage. So give me 1 second here, guys. I'm going to tweet this out and we'll get going. And I think we got it. There we go. And again, I want to thank Wes Weber. Some interesting stats that I'm going to pull up. And Wes Weber, the official stat man of Great Lakes Divide live stream. I mean, you got numbers across the board. I don't want to just throw so many numbers at you guys, but I mean, I'm talking numbers across the board. And pass yards through week 7. Michigan's passing defense allows 129.1 yards per game. It gains 207 Michigan's passing yards. So passing offense 207, passing defense 129, a difference of 77.9. That's number 2 in the Big Ten, just behind Ohio State. So, but I think given the balance of Michigan's offense, Michigan doesn't have like those ginormous passing numbers like we've seen from Ohio State this year. It's a balanced offense. I mean, there are no numbers that are pointing to this Michigan team being weak. I think offensive line proved itself again against Wisconsin. We've been talking about the offensive line for a few weeks now and how it's been visible improvement. If you guys remember, we were talking about Josh Uche. Remember, I said, yeah, he's listed as a linebacker. He's going to play defensive end in some packages. And look at the way that Josh Uche has been playing lately. Michael Dwumfour's return is big for Michigan. So is Chris Evans. I mean, return of guys like that only better your chances as you're trying to make a push toward the playoff. And I wrote that. So check that out at greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. So no questions on Twitter right now. We're going to hop in the live chat. So thanks again, everybody, for joining me. Isaac Gogol says, hashtag go Knights. Hashtag Knights screwed again. Hashtag Adam is getting PS4. Am I getting a PS4, Isaac? I mean, if I do, I'll play it. The governor says, just signed a piece of cord to attend this podcast. What is up, Adam? I appreciate you coming by, Gov. Thank you. Alan Pinckney says, it's Michigan State putting out more than 21 on Michigan. We could get into that, Alan, but Friday we'll crunch numbers and everything, but I imagine the discussion is going to – I want to try to keep it focused, but I imagine every day we're going to probably hit on everything. So yes or no answer. Is Michigan State putting on more than 21? I don't think so. No, I would be surprised. But then again, the Nebraska game, I said that wasn't going to be a blowout. Wisconsin, that isn't going to be a blowout. Michigan has shown now and I mentioned this the other day, why I think a 10-2 ceiling was more than fair to say, especially with this schedule. And Michigan has shown 10-2 is attainable now because look, it's already blown out 2 teams, and Wisconsin was a very good team. So those are kind of things that I want to see. Are they going to just beat good teams and barely get by? Okay, well then 9 wins is probably fair. Can you blow out a couple of these teams? Do you have that power within your offense to do that? The defense has already shown the ability to clamp down and allow nothing. And I mean, not nothing, but look at the numbers. Wisconsin got crumbs. Those were. I'm surprised. I mean, a garbage touchdown at the end. I mean, this was about as close to shutout football without shutting them out as Michigan has played. So I think that you have to really take a lot away from that Wisconsin victory. And yes, Michigan does look they're every bit worth number 6 ranking right now, I think, in the Associated Press poll, number 7 in the Amway coaches poll. So Isaac says that Wes Weber is a UCF believer, also wants to arm wrestle. I told you, man, I have my money's on Wes. Wes is a Marine. The Gov said, did I hear you correctly yesterday predicting Michigan over MSU? You did hear that correctly. Alan Pinkney, what is Karan ranking in the Big Ten? I think he's number 3. I don't have those stats up in front of me right now. And the Big Ten football stats, they've moved him to Fox. I always used to get him off BigTen.org, and then it redirects you to Fox Sports page, and then the Fox Sports page is under construction. Oops, we're undergoing maintenance during this time. You may notice inaccurate or missing data. We apologize for any inconvenience. So I haven't been able to pull up. The only thing I think I have the printouts every week that we get at a game. I could look at that, but I think Karan's the number 3 leading rusher in the Big Ten right now, because I think it's Taylor. I mean, hold on, I'll be able to find these. Hold on. I mean, Taylor's number 1, obviously. I want to say Karan's number 3. Karan is number 3. It's Taylor Sanders from Penn State. Karan's number 3. Stevie Scott out of Indiana. DJ Knox out of Purdue. J.K. Dobbins of Ohio State. Reggie Corbin of Illinois. Mike Weber at Ohio State. Divine Ozigbo from Nebraska. And Trace McSorley rounding out the top 10. So Trace McSorley, a quarterback, is number 10 in the Big Ten in rushing. But yes, Karan is number 3. 120 attempts for 680 yards. 5.7 a carry. He's got 6 touchdowns, and those are also tied for the 3rd most in the Big Ten. So yes, Karan's firmly in the discussion as one of the best running backs in the Big Ten, easily. He has the numbers to prove it. The Gov says, I am not criticizing, but we could not get touchdowns in half our drives in the red zone. Can you help explain this particular deficiency? I mean, I think Wisconsin, I don't necessarily think it's a deficiency, Gov. I think Wisconsin at some times played a little bit of football. And I mean, the secondary was decent. Yes, they defended well in the red zone. But like I said, I don't think that's an indictment on Michigan's offense. I think it's just, look, Wisconsin did a couple things okay. I don't think it's cause to worry. Michigan showed firepower in that game. That's really what I'm concerned with. The red zone stats, okay, well, that might be a little bit misleading. How much firepower did you see in this game? Red zone or not? I mean, I'll agree with you. And let me pull up the game stats from that. Hold on. Don't tell me I don't have. I thought I had that page saved. I guess I don't. I can't pull them up quickly. Yep, oops, stutter. The first stall I think we've had in stats. Usually I have them readily available, or I remember them right off the top of my head. I don't know what Michigan did in the red zone off the top of my head. I know that we saw Quinn Nordine attempt, like, what was it, 3 field goals? 4? He made 3, he missed 1. I don't have that in front of me. But again, I don't think that's an indictment on Michigan's offense. Okay, back. J Van Slyke says, where do you see the biggest matchup problems for U of M against State? I don't see any. I mean, Felton Davis at wide receiver is going to be a problem. Felton Davis is first round talent all the way. But I don't see a lot of other matchup problems that Michigan's going to have with Michigan State. You got to look. This Michigan State offensive line is beat up, going against arguably the best defensive line in the country. Michigan's passing defense is #1 ranked in the country. We haven't seen Brian Lewerke really do a lot of things that he had done last year. So, I mean, are they going to run the ball against Michigan? Michigan's got the #1 rushing defense. I mean, passing the ball, they've got #1 rushing defense. Michigan State, I mean, yeah, Michigan State proved that it's a good team and went and beat Penn State. I still think that maybe people overshot Michigan State's potential a little bit. I was comfortable saying an 8 or 9 win season was doable. 9-win season was probably fair. A 10-win season, you know, that'd have to be, you know, like one of those really good special that, you know, they have a couple big moments, mousetrap, that kind of stuff. And I talking about trick plays with Jim Harbaugh today. It'd have to be one of those type of years. I don't see that being this type of year for Michigan State. And honestly, I don't see a ton of matchup problems. Brian Lewerke's a smart quarterback, but I still like Michigan's defensive line over Michigan's offensive line. And, I mean, Lewerke's going to have Bush. He's going to have Khalil Hudson on him. I mean, Chase Winovich, Josh Uche. A lot of guys are getting in the backfield. Michael Dwumfor. That's a lot to handle. And I do. There's a lot of reasons why I like Michigan in this game. It's almost like it's a doomsday forecast. I feel like I'm delivering. If you're a Michigan State fan, don't mistake yourself. Yeah, it's a rivalry. Yeah, it's in East Lansing. And yes, anything can happen. But if you think that Michigan State stacks up pound for pound, position group against position group to Michigan, that's just not true. It isn't. Michigan State's going to have to play with, you know, that chip on the shoulder type of thing, I think, for this in order to win. And I mean, yeah, that's easy to say. It's a rivalry. They do that, but I mean, Michigan State's got to play its best football of the year, I think, if it wants to beat Michigan. No exceptions. Brandon Gamble says, what up, Adam? I didn't see Brandon Peters play. Any updates on him? I do not have any updates on him. I don't know. I mean, it's clear. I mean, they went with Milton, you know, experimented with Joe. You would think that we would see Peters in a situation, in a route like that. Mike Zabrowski says, hey, Adam, sorry, it's been a while. I had to let the team prove something to me before getting all caught up in the live chat and getting frustrated by people's comments. Glad to have you back, Mike. What do you think of them now? I think that there was justifiable preseason hype, and then I think there was also justifiable logic. And if you went with the logic, what was there, schedule, coaching, all this stuff, and, you know, checked all the boxes, and this was going to be a good team. I don't think there was any doubt that this was going to be a good team. My questions were, again, can the offensive line be something that's not only okay and sustains, can it be a strength of the team? And I think that that's now becoming true. And again, Michigan State will be another test. But Michigan State's got a good defensive line. That's probably one of its advantages. I wouldn't even say advantage. I mean, that's just a positive for Michigan State. I mean, Michigan's offensive line has proven pretty good. Michigan State's D-line will be a test for that O-line, though, for sure. Isaac Gogol says, remember when Mike Weber was committed to Michigan and then he flipped? I do remember. I remember seeing Mike Weber at Sound Mind, Sound Body while he was choosing between Michigan and Michigan State. And at that time, a lot of people thought he was going to go to Michigan State. Sean Hole says, any reason why Ben Mason was a ghost against Wisconsin? We did not get an update on Ben Mason, so I can't even speculate. Harbaugh said nothing about any injuries. He was not talking injuries. He said today, which is a great quote for the rivalry, by the way. He said something about, you know, all the cliches have been thoroughly plowed on both sides. You know, I mean, he's getting all these questions. It's the same question in a way, just worded a little bit differently, you know. And, you know, they're saying it means it's as big as it's ever been, as you know, important as it will be. It's a big game. He wasn't doing anything to feed into it. He knows it's a big game. Michigan knows it's a big game. And, you know, Jim Harbaugh has been, since he's been at Michigan, pretty good about not feeding hype machine. stuff. I mean, but because of the way that the players say. And I mean, even today, Lawrence Marshall was saying, and we know this just by being around enough and kind of being able to infer. They tell these guys, hey, look, don't say anything stupid. I mean, obviously. And that's been the word this week. Don't say anything stupid that's going to be some kind of bulletin board material, make you look bad, make Michigan, and I'm sure that that's the same at Michigan State. Don't say anything stupid. But yeah, these guys do not like each other. We've already heard, I think 97-1, they got asked Devin Bush if he hated Michigan State. I mean, what was he supposed to say? Yeah, he hates Michigan State. That's a good thing. You want your players to. Chase Winovich, agrees. And Michigan State hates Michigan, and yes, it's a rivalry. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh would be able to say anything else that hasn't already been said about it. So if you were expecting some kind of miraculous, inspiring Jim Harbaugh, quote about Michigan State, you weren't really getting it. Unless my favorite one was when he said, we've already plowed through all these cliches, so he's tired of it. Conference call should be interesting tomorrow. Anyway, back to your question. Sorry about that. Tyler Felichak says, what's up, Adam? Do you think Michigan takes care of business this weekend? It seems like this is setting up perfect for MSU. Touchdown underdog at home and coming off their best win in a long time. I mean, if you put it that way, and it's Michigan State, man, and again, 8 of 11, the rivalry out the, records out the window, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, position group to position group, Tyler, I like Michigan. I think the Michigan does win this game. From quarterback play, running back play, offensive line play, defensive line play, linebacker play, secondary play, special teams play. I mean, you got to give all those categories to Michigan, I would think. I mean, and I'm not saying Michigan State doesn't have good players. I mean, Joe Bocci is an incredible linebacker. Kenny Willekes at defensive end has been playing his butt off. He started last year, a former scout team guy. I mean, he's a big force on that defensive line for the Spartans. They're not completely healthy. There has been some pass protection issues. I mean, I think Justin Lane's a pretty good cornerback. I think that Michigan State has some players offensively, though. I just don't know if they're going to be able to really do a ton against Michigan. And again, though, road environment, all that stuff. I mean, whatever these guys think about psychologically, you got to know that there's probably some that can't sleep the night before, and on both sides. So I mean, they're college guys. We don't know what's going to happen. We think we might know. We think we might have a good idea. I think I might have a good idea, but I mean, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I do think Michigan wins, though. Troy Radcliffe says, hey, what's up? What I miss? Hey, Troy, you're missing me going on these unnecessarily long rants. Only about 18 minutes, actually. So not too bad. If you have a question I haven't talked about yet, feel free to ask. Jeremy Turner says, yes, I made it. What's good, Biggs? Cannot wait for Saturday. Definitely a big game. Tatenda says, hello. Hi, Tatenda. David MCC, the $2 super chat. Thanks a lot, David. Guys, if you like this live stream when it's in focus, if you like the live chat, if you like the Great Lakes Divide, greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com mobile, greatlakesdivide.com for desktop, at GL Divide on Twitter. If you like all that stuff and you want to contribute, feel free to do so. David, I appreciate it. No dollar amounts too big or too small. And again, but we had tossed around the subscription idea. This kind of circumvents that, and it's actually better. So if you guys want to, that's fine. It is not required. Back to the questions. Mike Zabrowski says, I loved how DPJ totally disregarded the no-fly zone question. Well, Mike, and actually, has he heard of it? I mean, no-fly zone, technically, that was Darquez Denard and Isaiah Lewis. I mean, that generation. I know they revived it again, in like 2014, but I mean, this stuff is 5 years old. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a sophomore in college. And unless he was really watching Michigan State, I could believe that he doesn't know who they are. And maybe he just chose not to acknowledge it. But, I mean, people haven't been really talking about Michigan State secondary no-fly zone since 2012, 13. I'll go 14 at the latest. But, I mean, that's been gone. That's been gone. So, no, I think DPJ was actually, genuine in his answer, like, I don't know what you're talking about. The intent on the question was there, but I mean, the use of no-fly zone, that is what threw him off. Robert Protzman says, if both play up to potential, Michigan wins by a lot. Michigan has to come out flat, and MSU must play amazing to win. Jeremy Turner says, it was great seeing Aubrey Solomon out there again. Scary the D-line is adding someone who was projected to start earlier this year. Yeah, and again, Michael Dwumfour back. He was supposed to be out for the rest of the year, you know. And I'm going to stop. And if I reference the crap rumors, then I'm just creating more discussion. But, I mean, you guys hear the Michael Dwumfour, great return, actually. And didn't get a sack and not a registered tackle, but if you look at the way that he was just blocking for others, getting in the back, a lot of knockbacks, as Jim Harbaugh described them. So a lot of knockbacks, getting off the block, creating holes. Dwumfour got back there and allowed Devin Bush to get a big sack last night. I posted the video on Twitter, and follow me at AdamBiggers81. So there's a lot of reasons to like the return of Michael Dwumfour. There's a lot of reasons to like what we've seen out of Josh Uche and Kwity Paye and Aiden Hutchinson. And of course, Chase Winovich has just been, you know, arguably the best defensive end in the country. One of them. I mean, he's top 5, top 10 defensive ends in the country without a doubt. I think probably top 5 is more than fair. LOLJ says, game made the trip all the way from San Diego worth it. The old fans a few rows behind us couldn't get us to sit down. Home field advantage, I said. Yeah, that was a wild environment. I mean, it was really cool when everybody got their phones out, lit up the stadium. And I like Ann Arbor. I think it's a really nice, you know, great college town. And the press box view, when you look north end zone, you can see town. You look south end zone, you know, you can see trees and golf course. I mean, it's a really cool view. So, and to see all that at night just added to it. So I agree. Where are we at here? Tyler Diffendorfer says, hey, what's up, Adam? Michigan has to match Sparty's intensity. This is their biggest game of the year, and Michigan still has Ohio State. And that's not, if you want to put something else in Michigan State, and you can never, ever, I can talk about position group to position group, this stat, this coming off this win, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is that Michigan State puts so much focus on the Michigan game. Every single day they're emphasizing something that they can do to beat Michigan. And this is a year-round thing. So it's not just, okay, get hyped during, you know, Michigan week or, you know, finally get hyped. No, these guys are always thinking. And Gerald Holmes, former Michigan State running back, Flick Carmen Ainsworth star, I pointed, like, you guys know it. It's over there. But yeah, Gerald told me all about that earlier in the preseason when we had him on for one of our first podcasts. So yeah, it's Michigan State's focus is the one thing that you cannot discount because, like I said, that is one thing Mark D'Antonio has embedded in their brains. Every one of these players, and you know, Michigan State's coming off a players only meeting, and then they go and beat Penn State. So I mean, did Joe Bacci, Kari Willis, those guys getting it together? Is Michigan State unified now? Are they like, okay, now they're going to play like they're a team that can win 9 games this year? Is this what they needed? I don't know. So I mean, does it add to, you know, if you're a Michigan fan, the fear factor, the mystique? Maybe, but I mean, like I said, pound for pound, number for number, I can't help it. I mean, if you don't see this thing as heavily tilted in Michigan's direction, then I don't know what to tell you. Another $2. Thank you, David. Who is the Red Wing above Lemieux? Steve Yzerman, Gordie Howe, Terry Sawchuk, the Howes on the line, all playing for the Wings. I mean, the Whalers against the Red Wings. Mario Lemieux, Jimmy Howard. Okay, I thought Jimmy was going to be like a super elite goalie. Whatever, he's still been pretty good, but. Yeah, I'm a Gordie Howe fanatic. Lots of Gordie stuff. Brian Phelps says Sparty's run defense could be a big problem for Michigan. Brian, that might be the one. That might be the one thing. Again, like I said, number 1 rush defense in the country, like the number 439th past the. I mean, I've talked to Ryan. He's got the number. They're like 129th out of 133 FBS programs. I mean, I'm not even gonna look it up. I'm telling you, they're bad. They're really bad. I'm laughing about it. That's how bad that the numbers wise. And I asked Mark D'Antonio about this last week during the conference call, and he said, that it's been like a bad luck thing, basically, is what it boiled down to. So guys have been there, in position to make plays on them, but they haven't been. I mean, so it's not like, I don't think they're just getting torched because they're not covered. It's just like receivers are making plays. But I mean, that gap, number one to like you're almost dead last in Division I in pass defense. And that goes back, the no-fly zone days that Michigan State had a number one ranked pass defense. That was a no-fly zone. It is not no-fly zone. I was joking around. I think I told you guys this the other day. I was joking around. My friend Matt Pargoff runs Amazing Blue News, and he said it's take your best shot zone now. It's not no-fly zone. It's take your best shot zone. And I agree with him right now. Ben Peterson says, I'm getting a frustrated vibe from the Harbaugh presser. The players take it personally, completely downplays it. Adam, what's your take on it? I don't think he completely downplayed it. He's been a part of this. He knows what it's all about. He played for Bo. He's, he knows what Michigan football is about. This is not his first time playing Michigan State. I just think that he offers, and I don't know if that's maybe his way of having fun with us. Sometimes I feel like I could tell if he's trying to be humorous. But also part of it, he did, like I said, he mentioned, the cliche stuff. What else? It's almost to the point, it's like, well, what do you want him to say? And, the intent behind the questions are there. And, they're all valid questions. And the fans want to hear, both of these sides talk about, but if you listen to the words that he says, he said excited, big game. But, he almost goes like Belichick with the deadpan and it's just like, doesn't want to put any type of emotion behind it. And I guarantee you that's not what he's like. I can guarantee you, because I've been told by former players, that is not what he's like during this week. Jim Harbaugh at the podium today is not the Jim Harbaugh that they're getting in Schembechler Hall. I guarantee you that. John Babo, anyone hear about Black? Heard he's likely Saturday. Who said he's likely Saturday? Because that is not official. Michigan is not offering up any update. So anything on Tariq Black is not speculation, or you got a really good source. But if it's who I think it is, Tariq Black was likely this past Saturday too. So that same person said that. So Troy Radcliffe says, I think Karam will have a 600-yard game. I believe our offensive line is going to take this one personal like they took Wisconsin. Definitely. And guys, if I missed your comment, I apologize. Resubmit it. I'll try to get it. RPJ, Rashawn Peoples-Jones. D'Antonio was the luckiest coach of all time, consistently ruining opponent seasons, being on underdogs and all. Hold on, I see this. Chris Hawk with a $20. Man of my word, they doubted the spread. They doubled. Chris Hawk said if Michigan doubles the spread, he's going to drop a $20. Chris Hawk, you are the man. I appreciate it, sir. And they sure did. That is, I did not see that coming. The Gov said, call the Michigan Insider Beetlejuice from now on. Yeah, if you mention his holiness. Yes, his name is Beetlejuice. Well, no, because I said it because like the 3 times Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. That's actually my favorite movie. So we know thou who shall remain nameless. But guys, I'm telling you, anything he says is just pure crap. And that he's pulling out of thin air or going on to a pay site and getting the information from guys like at the Wolverine, people at, Scout, people in the know, reading people's stuff, following Twitter. Ask yourself, is it really that if you want to string along a little bit BS and make you feel like people, make it feel like you got the inside info, and it's kind of easy to stretch some of this stuff, right? It's kind of easy if you want to be the first guy ever, be the breaking news. Michael Dwumfor's injury looked pretty bad, right? So boom, snap reaction. Oh, well, I'm good. He's done for the year. And then if he is done for the year, then, oh, wow, that guy knows. He's so connected. it's not, I mean, it's not rocket science for one. I do it. Obviously, it's clearly not rocket science. I like to think that I'm good at it, so that makes I'm knocking sports writers, I guess. We are smart people. I'm telling you guys, anything that comes out of his mouth is pure bull. And if it is a real fact, it's because he read it from a credible source. So please, please, please do yourself a favor. And just not entertain the stuff. That was my public service announcement for the day. Brian Rasinski says if Michigan secondary plays like they did against Wisconsin and limit big pass plays, they will roll MSU. Offense just has to keep doing their thing. Robert Protzman said Bush might get suspended during the game. He's walking 15-yard. But Robert, and did you guys see it? And I talked to look, I like Rico Beard. Rico's been on my podcast before, back when it was Sports in the Mitten. I talk to Rico when I go out to East Lansing and when I'm covering Michigan State basketball and if I'm there for a football game. Rico's a great guy. I do think he was a little bit harsh on Devin Bush, though. And, I mean, he called him the most dirtiest player in college football. The emphasis, and Rico's like an English professor. Trust me, when he said most dirtiest, he did it for a fact. The most dirtiest player in college football and a walking 15-yard penalty. I think that's a little bit harsh. I mean, you're not name calling. You're not exactly. I mean, you're giving a hard opinion on a player, but I do think it's to call him the most dirtiest player in college football. I think that's a stretch. I don't think Devin Bush is a dirty player to begin with, and to call him the most dirty is just you're obviously. I mean, I guess is the word lying. Yeah, you're lying about him. You're purposely, you know what you're doing. You're trying to make him look bad, assassinate his character on the field by calling him the most dirtiest player in college football. Devin Bush is far from the dirtiest player in college football. Devin Bush is not a dirty college football player. So, okay, I've said my piece on that. Have any other questions, guys? If I miss them, I'm scrolling down to get down to the bottom. Eric313 with a $5 super chat. I appreciate it, Eric. If I missed your question, guys, resubmit it. I'm down at the bottom now so I could keep up. Greg Ryan says all MSU does is beat top 10 teams, and that's true. D'Antonio's 10-5 against top 10 teams. Ben Peterson says, any chance you and Ryan could do a live chat together this week aside from the podcast? Oh, yeah. Ryan and I we'll have a post-game report live from the field at Spartan Stadium. We'll probably, I don't know if we're going to get together, do something pregame. I actually might go out to East Lansing Friday. I have my niece and my nephew out there, so I might actually go out there Friday, stay the night, and maybe catch up with Ryan Friday night, do something, and then go to the stadium Saturday. So, yes, I'm letting you know my personal plans here. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Ryan and I, podcast, video chat, live stream. Put a little bit extra oomph into it this week because it is a big game. We'll do the same Michigan State and Ohio State. I mean, I think we did the same with Michigan and Notre Dame. But I mean, Michigan State, obviously, if you're from the state of Michigan, that's the rivalry you grew up on. So, LLJ says, I am not as worried about MSU run defense because this is the first time Michigan will bring a running quarterback that has a threat of a pass. Before, we were always one style or the other, not both. That's a good point. Parth Patel says, any chances we keep help side over on Felton Davis or we keep Hill Long on the island? I mean, I think you gotta put David Long on Felton. Do not, I mean, the entire game. I mean, that's your assignment. Felton Davis. That's it. That's it. I think Metellus and Cleek Hudson will help against Dotson. Matt Dotson, they have a pretty good tight end. Yeah, Long or Hill. I mean, I'm going David Long, really. But I mean, if you got to throw Vert and David at, I mean, Brandon Watson, experienced player. I think Brandon Watson would be a good option too. But I mean, they might throw everybody at him, but I mean, if I got to pick one, I'd say you got to throw David Long at him. John Bobo says, thanks for clearing that up. No problem, John. I'm sorry. Sometimes I go on a rant, but I'm just trying to make sure that you guys know. Angelica says, how much did she miss? 36 minutes. Greg Grind says, Harbaugh has not been the same in interviews since the Mike Hart beef. He's been careful with his words since then. I mean, if you're going to hear anything that's soundbite worthy, I mean, Michigan State, Mark D'Antonio doesn't really. Mark D'Antonio will say some things, and if you get his kind of tongue in cheek humor, so I mean, there'll be some things out of East Lansing, I'm sure. And I mean, watch the video. Lawrence Marshall, he tried not to, but he said a couple things that it's the kind of stuff fans want to hear, and I get it. But it's better if they say it through conversation, telling a story, rather than if they're the bait question. That's kind of like where I'm on the fence with that whole kind of thing. Like, I guess there's certain ways to word it, but. And who am I to say? I've misworded some questions in my day. I'm not perfect either, but I just don't like it if you're clearly trying to get somebody to say something for the sake of a great quote, then I think that you're doing it the wrong way. If you want to ask a question that's relevant to the rivalry, maybe pick a moment or something like that, let them reflect on it, then you have something specific. But if you just want some general, yeah, we want to kick their butt. I mean, okay, well, of course they do. These guys wanted, of course they do. Anyway, going down here, James Williams with a super early pick on Friday. James, we do the Mr. Spots player of the game prediction and score prediction. So if you want to join us Friday at noon Eastern time, but early prediction, he says 30-14. Robert Protzman says he yelled at Rashawn Gary's mom on Twitter. Yeah, back to that guy. Yeah, that's pretty sad. And yeah, that whole thing. Brandon Gamble says, did you catch Chase's interview at the end of the game? What do you think about the revenge tour statement? Brandon, no, I didn't see this post-game interview on TV. I was at the game. So we didn't have Chase available to us. So I've heard about it, but I actually haven't seen it. But yeah, revenge tour, that sounds exactly. Chase, imagine it like a Metallica shirt, because we've talked about Chase's hair before. Now picture an 80s metal rocker in the revenge tour in like Metallica letters with Chase Winovich, like with a shot of his hair. It's the revenge tour, and he's got a guitar. It's the Chase Winovich revenge tour. I like the sound of that. Sounds like it's entertaining. I'm gonna miss Chase Winovich, one of the best interviews. That guy is a walking quote machine. You don't have to even Chase Winovich is interesting. He speaks his mind, and this dude's got all kinds of stories. So not everybody's like that. So I'm gonna miss Chase Winovich. And when it comes to writing, always fun to write about him. RJ Booker says Michigan played more zone versus Wisconsin than they did all year. Smart move, go blue. Angelica Campos says, is it safe to say that Brandon Peters' career is over at Michigan now that Dillon has solidified as number 2 and Milton seems to have packages for him as a 3? I mean, it's going to be a crowded house. Put it that way. No, would not be surprised if we do see a quarterback transfer. I'll say that. Angelica Campos says Bush is the best linebacker in the country. Rico's upset that the Spartans don't have a linebacker like him. He never hits people late or gets penalized for out of bounds. Well, I mean, he has been ejected for targeting. He got one against Michigan State. What was it? His freshman year. So he's an intense player. I mean, Josh Metellus. Josh Metellus has had a couple calls, and those are subjective. And was it targeting? Was it not targeting? We could debate that. But Josh Metellus is an aggressive player too. Those Florida guys want to hit you. Josh Uche, Devin Gill, all those guys, they want to hit you hard. So they're not dirty in any sense, though. Those calls are subjective. Is it too early to start talking trash, Joel Brown says, about the MSU game? I mean, if you want to, but again, guys, like I said the other day, no personal insults. No, I mean, I feel like we know. We're all adults here, I think, most of us. I try to act like one as often as possible, as long as it's not, crossing the line. And I think we all know what crossing the line is. So friendly stuff, that's fine. Trash talk, go for it. Have some stats, though. Don't just be like, Michigan State sucks. give me some stats. You know, just don't. Michigan's overrated. Well, tell me why. If you're gonna say that kind of stuff, then pack a stat with it. 30 Undertaker 313 says, when do you expect Tariq Black to return? Guys, like I said, I would be surprised if it's before November. And then if that's the case, I mean, depending on the position Michigan's in, I think we got to start looking. Is he going to get redshirted again? Who's the best in covering the 50-50 balls? Parth Patel wants to know. In Michigan's secondary, I would think David Long. 30 Undertaker 313 says, when do you? Okay, I already read. Brennan Armstrong says, besides turnovers, what do you think the biggest key is to a win for Michigan? I think the O-line again, but I think we do what we did to Wisconsin and pass first to set up the run lane. The offensive line definitely, Brennan, is going to be a key to this. But I mean, I think in a game like this, Michigan's defensive line, you're going on the road. You want your defense to set a tone early. Michigan State's offensive line's been banged up all year. Cole Chewins, David Beadle, both starting tackles. Those guys are out. I can't even tell you who their starting five is right now, and they're down to I think number 3 at one of the guard positions. So, or number 2. I mean, Michigan State's thin on the offensive line, put it that way. And so I think that defensive line, Michigan's defensive line, is going to be a major key. And pressure Brian Lewerke too. I mean, Brian Lewerke has not faced a defensive line like Michigan's defensive line. Why did Harbaugh give game ball to Ben Herbert, the strength and conditioning coach? The O-line, because he's got the O-line clicking right now. Those guys are talking about culture change. I mean, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're better, all that stuff, but their whole attitude and mentality is different now. And strength and conditioning has been a huge part of that. So that's why. And like I tweeted Saturday, or I tweeted, I think it was Sunday morning, if you don't have Michigan's offensive line as MVP of the Wisconsin game, you did not watch that game, because no doubt the Michigan's offensive line was MVP in that one. Troy Radcliffe, Angelica Campos says, love Chase interview at the end of the game, revenge tour. Troy Radcliffe says, definitely have to give a shout out to our strength and conditioning coach. He definitely has the Wolverines ready. 30 Undertaker 313, have you seen a noticeable difference? I mean, they all looked bigger, but then, I mean, a noticeable difference is, I mean, they weren't talking about, culture change and stuff like that with strength and conditioning last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, I've been covering Michigan since 2012. 2014 was my first year full-time credentialed for Bleacher Report. I never heard them talk, anything about culture change or so much reference to strength and conditioning and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, there is a noticeable difference. Parth Patel, any good restaurants you recommend in East Lansing for this weekend? Well, I mean, the Hall of Fame Cafe is pretty good, but I mean, it's all Michigan State decorum, so I don't think you'd like that. There's a lot of good. East Lansing's a good food town. Ann Arbor's a really good food town. East Lansing, trying to think of, Bluegill's pretty good. That's in Hazlitt. It's like a little bar. Good food there. It's close to where my family lives, so that's where I go when I'm in town. I'll go to like Bluegill. I mean, there's a lot of good places. Some of the places I don't remember, they're not there anymore. But yeah, that's about it off the top of my head. I'm sure there are a lot better restaurants, but yeah, the Hall of Fame Cafe, that's all Michigan State stuff. I don't know if you'll be able to stomach all the green and white while you're trying to hold down food, Parth. It might be rough. Seen a lot about the revenge tour. I know you guys got it. Adam, do you think LJ Scott will drive to the game? I don't think so. Oh, God. The Gov, Wes needs to do a revenge tour graphic. What do you think, Wes? Is he in here? Wes, are you in here? We'll tweet him. We need a revenge tour graphic with Metallica letters, Chase Winovich, 80s metal hair. Let's do it up. Trying to scroll back. Again, guys, I'm not skipping you on purpose. If I skip it, I'm sorry. Any final questions? We're going 45 minutes here. Ryan and I will have a podcast tomorrow following Mark D'Antonio's press conference, which he'll be at, and then Mark D'Antonio hops on the conference call after Jim Harbaugh or shortly after. So once Ryan gets back and settled, and once I get settled after that conference call, he and I are going to record a podcast so you guys know what's going on that. And then of course follow me on Twitter. I'll have updates from the conference call, Harbaugh and Mark D'Antonio. I'll be writing tonight. I'm not sure. There's a couple things. Actually, I want to mention this. Nick Eubanks, and I had a good discussion today with John Jansen. And if you guys know who John Jansen is. If you've ever stood next to John Jansen, I'm like average size. I mean, I'm not big, I'm not tall, but I mean, I'm not like, like super small. But John Jansen makes you feel like a damn runt. That dude is huge. So I shook his hand, and I was like shaking a bear paw. But he and I had a good conversation. He said it happens more times than you think. A player making a suggestion that the coaches end up going with. But, it takes a smart player. It's usually juniors and seniors, he said, upperclassmen. Nick Eubanks helped Michigan change a blocking scheme, Jim Harbaugh said today. So I'll be writing about that. I asked him about Nick, and, it seems like every catch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Nick Eubanks has had like 6 20-yard catches this year. And I can't remember a catch that he's made that wasn't for 20 yards. So I'll go back and look at the stats. But Eubanks has had a monstrous year. He's proven to be, a big weapon in the tight end. Jim Harbaugh says he's now interchangeable tight end position. So meaning blocking tight end and receiving tight end, just doing everything better. So that's kind of interesting. You don't always have a player who goes to the coach. I mean, you might have guys who think it. But, I mean, for them to go to the coach and then the coaching staff agree and say, hey, yeah, this is good. They implement it in there. So Nick Eubanks is proven to be a pretty smart football player. He knows what he's doing, and he's, in a sense, his presence alters Michigan's offense. And not just because of what he can do, but actually because of what the input he's had in terms of blocking scheme. So I'm going to write about that. So you guys read that at greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. Check it out on Twitter at GLDivide. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81 and follow Great Lakes Divide on Facebook at Great Lakes Divide. Final questions. The governor, Parth, what type of food you like? That depends too, because I mean, if you go on Grand River, they have like Noodle and Company. They have there's BD's Mongolian Barbecue in Okemos. That's pretty good actually. If I like BD's. The one in Okemos is actually really good. And that's on Grand River. But yeah, if you get further down, closer, and the restaurants have changed a lot over the years. So I mean, I know like Noodle and Company's down there. I think there's a Cheesecake Factory. I've never been there, but people say Cheesecake Factory is good. What else? Can't think of it off top. I like Red Lobster. There's Red Lobster in Frandor, which isn't that far from Sparta State. It depends what do you want to eat. You got me hungry now. James Seward, wow, thank you. Biggers better wear the yellow shirt on Friday or he'll jinx us. Is the yellow shirt a jinx better wear it? James Seward with a $20 contribution to the super chat. I appreciate that, James. Thank you. So if I wore the yellow shirt Friday against Wisconsin. So okay, so now I gotta wear it. I'll do that much for you. I'll wear a yellow Mott shirt for you guys Friday. C Quev 10 says Michigan's defense has held this MSU offense in check the last 3 games, especially the second half of last year's game. I think Shea and the improved offensive line makes a difference this year. That's a good point. I'm going to get into the final comments, guys, and I'm going to get going. Angelica Campos says, what do you think of Lewerke? He seems to be having a down year. I remember at the beginning of the season they were talking about him as a possible second-round draft pick. I mean, people are talking about him as a dark horse Heisman candidate. And I'll discuss it with Ryan Schuling tomorrow. Ryan was one of those guys. Brian Lewerke is in a funk, definitely. He peeked his head out against Penn State, but, I mean, this is not the Brian Lewerke that we expected. I think anybody expected. Not the Brian Lewerke that he expected. Hal Barber says, isn't East Lansing in Ohio? No, not quite there, but close. Angelica Campos says, any timetable on Rashawn? Harbaugh said he does not know if Rashawn is coming back this week, and he's not giving any injury updates. So any injury updates you guys hear this week, if it's not purely speculated rumor on the part of the people who do that, I mean, I doubt you're going to get anything concrete from a credible media member because Michigan just isn't saying anything. And I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, speculation. We know Tariq Black's on his way back at some point, right? Michigan has pretty much said that. I mean, Rashawn Gary is not out for the year. I believe if he was out for the year at this point, we're going into the third week, not knowing if he's going to play. If he was out for the year, they would say that he was out for the year, I think. So, I mean, other than that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, they were quick to say Tariq, when that came up, yes, Tariq's out for the year. So, Sherwoody14 says, I think that LJ Scott marked the new Pride Before the Fall change of guard by calling Michigan little sister back in July, like when Mike Hart cursed them calling MSU little. And that, Michigan State fans, if Michigan beats Michigan State this year, they're gonna point back to that. I was right there. I was talking with LJ Scott in Chicago. Ryan and I were out there. I didn't hear him say that, but I saw it quoted enough times. Maybe I just wasn't listening. Maybe he said it when I was gone. I do have a video of him at the podium, but I didn't catch him saying that. And then I keep hearing they're like, yeah, LJ Scott called Michigan little sister. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And then, sure enough, you see it, quoted and stuff by media members on Twitter. And I still haven't read the story to where he's quoted in it, but I believe that he said it. Gov says Bluegill is out of the way from East Lansing. Crunchies in EL is good bar food. Yeah, Crunchies. Yeah, well, it depends on which way you take, because if you come in Marsh Road and take, or if you're coming in off 127, depends which way you take to get into East Lansing. Because, I take Marsh Road because that's where I'm giving you guys like the location of where I have family. That's where I go. But I mean, I don't know. You could take Saginaw to like Abbott and shoot south on Abbott down. I mean, there's several ways that you could take. But if you're coming off I-69, you're getting on Saginaw Highway. Brennan Armstrong says, I feel like some running back screens could burn State at this game. Also, maybe down in the red zone to tight formation and then spread tight ends and throw a fade to Gentry with his length. And then Brennan, I actually brought up a point about with Chris Evans coming back now. That adds a little bit of versatility to the offense. We saw him line up as a wide receiver. I mean, against Wisconsin, Harbaugh said he wasn't at his best. They're still waiting for him to get in his top gear, but I'm paraphrasing him here. He said that he contributed. So, I mean, Chris Evans, when he's healthy, fully healthy, adds a dynamic to the backfield. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, bubble screen guy. I mean, Chris, I'm surprised we haven't seen them try more things with Chris, honestly. So, Cam Clark says, what's up, Biggers? Cam, hey, man, we're going on 54 minutes. I tried to get out of here a few minutes ago, but I do need to go now, guys. I'm going to eat dinner. I got some writing to do. I'll be at player availability tomorrow. Again, there'll be a podcast tomorrow afternoon with Ryan Schuling. I'll have a live stream Wednesday. Be down there for the coordinators on Wednesday. Of course, game day Saturday in East Lansing. We'll have the regular Friday show, score prediction and player of the game predictions. I want to thank FederalWilliams.com, our title sponsor, for the support. FederalWilliams.com, that's FEDERAU Williams.com. Contact Mike Williams for all of your realty needs in the state of Michigan, whether you're buying or selling. And again, the Friday score prediction, player of the game predictions are brought to you by Mr. Spots, 808 State Street in Ann Arbor. So thanks to Tim and Keith down there at Spots. I'm Adam Biggers. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Great Lakes Divides at GL Divide. Guys, we're getting more subscribers on the YouTube channel. Followers are steadily climbing. Keep spreading the word. I think we have the best thing going when it comes to real Michigan football discussion on YouTube. I think we have kind of a one of a kind thing here, and the strong audience, and I appreciate it. And it's always a good chat. So I'll talk to you guys again later this week. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Be on the lookout for that piece on Nick Eubanks that'll be coming up tonight at GreatLakesDivide.com. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you later.